we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. Thanks so much for joining us on this lovely Saturday afternoon. It's quite nice out there in Central Arkansas. We're, of course, broadcasting from the thriving metropolis of Little Rock. Whether you're listening live on 96.5 FM The Answer over the radio, or if you're listening live via 96.5 FM TheAnswer.com website, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. And if you're listening via Krypton Radio is SciFi for your Wi-Fi, KryptonRadio.com, or via the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, delayed, however or whenever or whatever time that may be. So a couple of quick notes, then we're going to jump right into the show. We got some news today, as always, and then we've got we're joined by the Central Arkansas Scale Modelers, which is a very cool. Not everybody competes, but it's a competition level scale modeling club that does some really, really neat stuff. So we're going to be talking with them today as well. Quick housekeeping notes. Remember, you can always go to shaneplays.com. That's shaneplays.com for links and notes on today's show. So if as you're listening, you're like, hey, I want to know more about this, or what did he just say? You can go there right now and follow the links that we'll be talking about, whether it's the news or the guest or whatever. The show does go out. It's live on the radio, but it goes out after the fact as a podcast. And you can find the podcast on my blog at shaneplays.com. It's also on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/GoShanePlays. And it can be found on fine podcast directories such as iTunes and Stitcher. And then also, don't forget, as I mentioned, we are carried a week delayed on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is SciFi for your Wi-Fi. KryptonRadio.com. Last, one of the advantages of doing this as a live terrestrial Geek Talk radio show is that the show can be interactive. And so you can call in at 501-823-0965. That's 501-823-0965. Or you can tweet me at Shane Plays. That's ShanePlays. And I do my best to monitor those tweets and work in questions and comments from you, the beloved listening audience. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Zach, let's turn the hidden microphone on in the newsroom there, buddy. There they go. You hear that, Brent? Those guys are hard working.
Sounds like it.
They're hard working. Oh yeah, that's Brent, my guest today from Arkansas Scale Modelers Club. And just to remind everybody, those news guys work hard, and gals. It's news guys and gals. They're in there working hard on a Saturday, and for every $1 of support we receive via Patreon, they get a penny an hour raise. So just keep that in mind. They're so hard working. So all right, let's dig into that news. Here's what they've dug up for us this week. Star Wars The Force Awakens continues to awaken. Not only is it woke up, but boy, it doesn't seem to be wanting to go back to bed anytime soon. It's this was a news item from Disney, kind of a press release yesterday. So I'm not sure when this is expected to happen, but it's soon. I think today or tomorrow. $900 million domestically, and then they're predicting within a day or two $2 billion globally. That is ridiculous. That is. Have you seen it yet?
Oh yeah,
Brent? Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, great movie. Good Star Wars movie. Space opera, Star Wars, a lot of fun. And it's just crushing it. So, and if you go to the press release that's linked on shaneplays.com, of course they list all the bragging. It's doing this, and no domestic has ever done this, and internationally nothing's ever done this. But the point is, it's just racking it up, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So, and everyone's already gleefully anticipating, the next installment. I think Rogue One, which will be a one-off Star Wars movie. You looking forward to that, Brent?
Oh, yeah.
Rogue One, yeah. Now, am I right? Is that the one they're actually telling how they got the Death Star plans? Is that what you've heard?
That's what I've heard.
It's not in the time of Force Awakens. It's back in the original trilogy.
Yeah, because eventually they're going to do a movie about a young Han Solo at some point.
Right.
I think so. I think they're going back to that time.
Yeah,
to set that up.
I saw that. that they're looking at doing a young Han Solo movie. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So looking forward to it. Other ratings being broken: the X-Files, which premiered 2 weeks ago, the six episode. They're not calling it a miniseries; it's an event. It's an event, Brent. It's breaking records. And they're saying that. Let's see here. Let's see how their own press release put it. You always got to take people's own press releases with a grain of salt, but hopefully, this is factual. It says Fox's premiere of The X-Files breaks worldwide ratings records with more than 50 million viewers in the first 3 days. Now, what they did to achieve that was they had a global day and date rollout on the Fox in the U.S. and in 80 different countries. So it wasn't just in the U.S. that it hit those ratings. They instead of, because a lot of times when they release TV shows, they'll like it'll release here and then in the UK 2 weeks later, and then it's kind of staggered. Right. But here, evidently, they tried to roll it out globally at the same time, and it was outperforming like Walking Dead premieres and all kinds of other stuff. So anyway, good for X-Files. I thought the first episode was a little uneven because they were trying to shove too much in. I thought the second and third episode was really good. Have you been watching it by any chance?
I haven't had a chance yet. I'm going to catch up, though.
This past week's was, did you ever watch the X-Files back in the day?
Right.
You know how they would have like the kind of funny episodes every now and then? Well, this was that one. It was,
right.
I mean, it was serious, but it was also pretty funny. So it was kind of a classic. And they've gone back to the classic formula of they're working for the FBI. They're in their suits and it's not like the last couple of movies where it was all, out like they'd broken away from the main formula and all that. So pretty good stuff. I imagine that they're going to try to make an ongoing series out of it again. So this is a video game fanatic, so be interested in this. Hey, Zach, did you ever play that game Braid?
Never heard of it.
You never heard of Braid?
Nope.
Have you heard of it? Okay.
No, I haven't heard of it.
There's a pretty strong indie game community out there. Like, you got the big AAA titles and you got the big game studios, and there's a really strong indie game scene out there. And a couple of years ago, this guy named Jonathan Blow made this game called Braid, which was sort of a platformer, side-scrolling jumper kind of game, but it had some really unique game mechanics, and it also told kind of a very touching story, right? So, and he got well known for it and everything. Well, he's got a new game out called The Witness, and it's made more money in its first week than Braid did in its first year. Now, what's interesting about The Witness, did you ever play Myst, Brent?
A little.
Okay, so as you walked around this island and solved puzzles and all that, it's kind of like a modern version of Myst. Did you ever play Myst, Zach?
Nope.
Are you familiar with it?
I am not, but I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, go look it up. It was a very big game in its day. And but anyway, people that are kind of into indie games or really follow Jonathan Blow. This is his newest game, and it's really cool. I've watched some Let's Plays of it. I'm not going to play it. There's too many puzzles that will drive me nuts, but it looks like a very cool game. So, and they were talking about how highly pirated The Witness was, but yet it's already made $5 million, and it's going to keep making more. And I'm not advocating piracy. I'm not. Let me be very clear. But piracy does not have the impact on movies and games and all that and TV shows that people say it does. There's always going to be a certain amount of piracy. I'm not advocating it. But all this overreaction to it, and where they put all this DRM and locking stuff down and throwing people in jail and throwing away the key or whatever, it's ridiculous. So again, I'm not advocating piracy, but let's keep things in perspective. So this is cool. Grant Gustin's The Flash, which my wife, the lovely Sheila and I watch every week and enjoy very much, and it's very good. There's going to be a crossover with Supergirl in March. So do you guys?
Oh yeah. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. So I started watching Supergirl because it was kind of a gateway geek show to get my wife watching, because she's already watching Flash. I was like, hey, maybe I can get her to watch another geek show with me. So she starts watching. What y'all don't know is Brent's wife, Heather, is in the room, and she's being like, she's in stealth mode and cloaking, but she's over there laughing, and she's all excited about Supergirl. She's all like, yeah. So,
I think it's too cheesy.
Huh?
It's too.
No, man,
It looks too cheesy for me.
It's gotten pretty good. It's gotten pretty good.
What's interesting is that it seems like the opening monologue where she's explaining everything. That's like one of the cheesiest things on a superhero show you've seen in like 20 years. But once it gets into the show and you get past that,
It's good.
It's really good.
It's I started watching it to have something to watch with my wife.
Right.
And anything I can get her more into the geeky arts is a win for me, right?
Been there, yeah.
I'm very geeky, and she's like, that's weird. Not in a mean kind of way. She's just like, that's weird. But she'll watch Supergirl with me. She'll watch Flash. She's starting to watch Legends of Tomorrow. She's watching Agent Carter. So television is bringing us together in the geeky arts.
It was Captain Janeway and Voyager that
is that what did it? Is that what got your lovely wife
into a little bit? Yeah.
Into it. All right. Well, so Supergirl's our Voyager in our marriage. Yeah. So anyway, Flash will be crossing over with Supergirl, and Zach, just to follow up on your point, it's actually a pretty good show. There's some good action scenes in it. Mm-hmm. They brought Martian Manhunter in it. There's some good plots. I like what they're doing with Maxwell Lord. They're basically turning him to the Lex Luthor of the show. Right. Here's the only beef I have with it. And I understand why they do it, because I understand what a lot of the demographic for the show is. So I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying it's one thing that jumps out at me. They'll be like the world is ending. Oh my gosh, how are we going to handle this? And then, oh goodness, I got a text. I need to go have this relationship moment, right? And she'll fly off and do that. Yeah. I know why they're doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's on the CW. There's a certain, no, it's not. It's on CBS. Yeah. But it has that CW kind of vibe to it. I understand what they're doing, right? Yeah. But anyway, so Flash is going to be crossing over with Supergirl in March, which is cool. And, a lot of people are like, well, is it going to be a parallel universe? Is it da? I remember when they first announced Supergirl, before it came on TV, they said it was going to be in the same cinematic or universe as the other shows, even though it was on a different network.
Yeah, that was my understanding.
That was so I wasn't surprised by this, but then everyone else was like, well, how are they going to do it? Because the other shows never mentioned Superman, but she mentioned Superman. I just assumed that they were in the same universe based on the original announcements.
I may be wrong, but I think that CBS owns the CW.
Okay, well, there you go. That makes it even easier. Yeah. But I guess what they're saying is narratively, like Flash and Arrow never mentioned Superman. Yeah. But yet Superman has actually shown up in Supergirl, albeit in a kind of, you couldn't see his face and all that. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. So,
I'll give it a try.
Yeah, you should check it out, man. It really does have some pretty good fight scenes, and I like Kara. Here's what surprises me, Brent and Zach. Callista Flockhart, I actually like her in the show. Yeah, I figured she'd be the thing that would make me, I don't want to watch this. But I really like her, Cat Grant. I really do. So, yeah. Anyway, all right, enough on that. Speaking of more, it's not really television goodness, but it's movie goodness. The new animated movie announced from DC Animation is going to be Justice League versus the Teen Titans, and that really excites me. That's going to be super cool. And I don't know when it's coming out yet. I think they're about to premiere some footage. Remember, all these links are on shaneplays.com under the show notes if you want to learn more. But the conceit is, or the setup is, for people that know Teen Titans, Raven's father is Trigon, which is this really evil, demonic kind of guy, very powerful. And somehow he comes onto the scene and takes over the Justice League. And so the Teen Titans have to take down the Justice League to save the day. So it looks pretty cool. And Robin, who is in both the animated movies and the comic books right now, is Bruce Wayne's son.
I love
Damian Wayne, not Dick Grayson or Jason Todd or any of the other. I can't remember the other guy. I can't believe I can't remember his name.
Something.
Yeah, Tim Drake. It's Damian Wayne. And so in this movie, evidently Damian is having like issues. He's very rebellious. So they've sent him to the Teen Titans to learn teamwork, and so he ends up having to fight. It's going to be good. And there's another Batman movie that just came out. I haven't had a chance to see yet. It came out on Tuesday, called Batman Bad Blood, which I really want to see. I haven't had a chance to see that one yet. So, all right, keeping up with the comic book theme, but now actual comic books. We have some details on the next big event, which is Civil War II from Marvel Comics. Now, Civil War I. Which was a few years ago, pitted Captain America versus Iron Man. And it was basically liberty versus safety, right?
Right.
They wanted to register superheroes, and some superheroes didn't want to register, and so it was a big brouhaha. Well, now, of course, you've got the new Captain America movie that's coming out this year, Civil War.
Right.
So they're launching another Marvel Comics event called Civil War 2 that is going to – it's not going to be the same story, but it's kind of launching alongside the movie. And evidently this pits Tony Stark, who is Iron Man, against Captain Marvel, who is Carol Danvers. Don't understand a lot of what's going on yet, but we have those details. The other details we know is usually they plan this stuff for years. They only took a few months to put this together. So, I hope that doesn't hurt the quality. And Brian Michael Bendis, who's a great writer, will be writing Civil War 2. So, all right. How much would you guys, Brent and Zach, I want to know, if you could have a 7-foot tall, this will probably interest you because it's to scale.
Okay.
It's a Batman figure that's to scale. It's 2.2 meters high, intricately detailed, from the Batman versus Superman movie from a company called Hot Toys. How much do you think that would cost?
Oh, wow. I can't even imagine. It's probably going to be at least a couple thousand.
Okay.
Probably
What do you think, Zach?
I can't give him a number.
$8,000.
That's it?
That's it? What do you mean that's it? $8,000 for a... I don't know. Anyway, or you could pay it off in installments of $1,066. But anyway, it looks pretty good. It's the Ben Affleck Batman from Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, but he's in the armor with the light up where the eyes are lit up and all that. Yeah. And it's a scale replica. And by to scale, evidently it's life size.
Life size. One-to-one scale.
One-to-one scale, right. Yeah, exactly. So people can go to shaneplays.com and check that out. When I see this stuff, who has $8,000 to spend on that? Who?
What I'm thinking is who has a wife that's going to say, yeah, you can put that in our house. That's fine.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That'd be a hard sell.
That would be a hard sell.
$8,000, and it has to be somewhere in your house.
And it has to pass the wife test.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Sheila, I could tell the lovely Sheila would put the kibosh on that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for it to go. If I showed up with that thing, I'd get a skillet upside the back of the head. But anyway, for that one brief moment before she nailed me with a skillet, I would own it.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'd have to take it back. So, all right. And then I still don't understand this. We just got a couple of news items. We'll hit a break, and we're going to come back and talk to Brent about Central Arkansas scale models or modelers and the cool stuff they do. I'm not quite grasping what this is. Zach, if you know, or Brent, if you have any, or if anybody out there listening, 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at ShanePlays. Can someone help me grasp what this new 10 Cloverfield Lane movie is about? Are y'all familiar with this at all?
I saw the original Cloverfield, and I've seen the ads, but I don't know what the connection is.
Are you familiar with this? Okay, so there's a movie coming out in March, and evidently J.J. Abrams has been working this on the side and was very hush-hush about it while he was working on Star Wars. Wasn't talking about it a lot. But it's coming out in March. It's called 10 Cloverfield Lane. And he says it's a blood relative of Cloverfield, whatever that means. I think he's saying it's very closely connected with Cloverfield. But it's about two guys. It's got John Goodman in it, and there's a younger guy and a younger woman.
Oh,
and they're all in the house, like they can never leave the house.
Yeah,
it's like they're holding her prisoner, but they're like, you can't go outside because it's too dangerous. But you don't. It's like a psychological drama. So it's very strange, but somehow, evidently, it's connected with Cloverfield. So I don't know. I'm sure I'll check it out because it's J.J. Abrams, and it's, I liked Cloverfield, right? So I'm sure, but I'm trying to get a better grasp of what this movie is. So if anybody out there knows, help me out here, throw me a bone. You can tweet me at ShanePlays, ShanePlays, or you can call 501-823-0964. And then finally, speaking of monsters, let's throw this out there, and then we're going to hit a break. Okay, there's a really successful board game out there called Pandemic. I don't know if anybody in here is a board gamer or not, but it's really cool. It's this cooperative board game where you kind of work to defeat an infection, and you can lose. It's pretty easy to lose the game, but it's very popular, and they've come out with different flavors of it. It's a big seller in board games at the game stores right now. Where they're getting. Are you a Lovecraft fan at all?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, it's getting a Lovecraft. They're adding a Lovecraft mix to it. So they're adding, or they're mixing Call of Cthulhu and they're mixing pandemic. So instead of trying to stop an infection outbreak, you're trying to contain like a great old one outbreak coming into the world. So like you're, instead of being in Africa, in China, and all over the world, you're like in Innsmouth, and what are some of the other classic, these sort of Arkham, these classic Cthulhu locations. So I'm really looking forward to that because I enjoyed Pandemic. And I do love Lovecraft, so I'm curious to see how that's going to come together. So, all right, then I've got to give future sports analyst / producer Zach a moment to talk about that. What is this superb owl everyone keeps talking about tomorrow? I don't understand. Is this a big owl? What's going on tomorrow, Zach?
You know what it is. It's the Super Bowl.
Oh, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really nice owl. Everyone keeps talking about the superb owl. Don't shake your head at me, Zach. You know you love my bad jokes. Brent said he had nothing but bad jokes. I said he's welcome here. He's welcome here.
Is that bowl for like chips or pretzels? Or
those they must taste super.
No. Oh my goodness.
All right. We'll put that out of its misery. Zach, give us your prediction. What's going on? What's going to happen tomorrow?
I tell you the truth. I think the Panthers, I hope they're going to win because, the Broncos defeated my Patriots 2 weeks ago. If I had to give a prediction, I would say Panthers 24, Broncos 21.
Okay.
That would be my final score.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, cool. And your team, the Patriots, didn't make it.
They didn't.
Didn't make it.
But they won the Super Bowl last year, so they kind of helped this year.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. They assist. They get an assist. Do you get assists in football? Is that hockey? What do you get an assist in?
Basketball, hockey.
I don't
yeah.
know. Okay, but you
Sports
can't
like
get
that.
an assist in football?
Well, it's a pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they passed it off to the team this year, right?
No.
Okay, I'm going to kill this. And we're just
They won last year. It helped.
Poor Zach. All right. Listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about scale modeling with the Central Arkansas Scale Modelers and Brent Bristow on Shane Plays Radio.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit Megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. Megawars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, we're back with Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into things we love. Thanks so much for joining us, whether you're listening live on 96.5 FM, The Answer, or via podcast or on Krypton Radio, kryptonradio.com. Joined by Brent, make sure I'm saying, is it Bristow?
That's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. I'm glad I got it right. You are with Central Arkansas Scale Modelers.
Right.
Okay, and looking forward to talking to you. In fact, I just put out on Twitter at Shane Plays, been pushing some pictures out of the Cylon Raider you brought in that you did.
Right.
I'm going to get those up on the Facebook page here in a second. And then you also brought in a bust because one thing that I was interested to learn when I encountered your group at the River City Comic Expo in, I think it was August, was that there was a lot of busts as well. I've never really thought of that as scale modeling. So that was really cool. Well, if you would, Brent, tell us a little bit about, who y'all are.
Okay.
Okay. How many of you there are, and then, what it's all about.
Okay. Well, the group's been around, I guess, since around 1999, give or take. There was only 4 or 5 people. I got involved with the group and really got serious about the hobby, I guess, about 5 years ago. I joined in 2011.
Now, how did that happen? How did you come into it?
Well, I spent a lot of years just kind of throwing kits together and not really knowing what I was doing, and I wanted my stuff to look better. And I ended up going into the hobby store, Hobby Town, which is now over on Shackleford. Met a guy named Ron Leaker, who's one of our members, and he told me about the club and said, hey, come on in. There's no secrets. Come in. Well, if you want to learn how to do stuff, we'll teach you how to do it. And I decided to do it. And there's also another group of guys that gets together sometime, a lot of car guys in that group as well, that hold some classes a couple of times a month.
When you say car guys, they do models.
Yeah,
cars?
they do model cars mostly.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of little subgroups within modeling. But anyway, I just got into it and started learning a lot and got into it. When I first joined the group, I think there were somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 to 25 members, give or take. Now we're up to about 47, give or take. So the group has grown a lot. There are still a lot of people. You don't have to be a member to attend a meeting. If you just want to come and talk about models, you're welcome to come. You don't have to join.
Okay.
And there are a lot of people who just want to come and check out what everybody's doing, but they really don't.
And how often do you meet?
We meet once a month. We meet on the second Saturday of every month at Hobby Town over on Shackleford. And we just get together and, we have a little bit of business meeting. And then after that, we just get into talking about what we're working on and what we've done. And like I said, there's not really any real secrets there. If someone walks in and they look at one of my pieces and they want to say, hey, how exactly did you do this? I'll tell them. I'm not going to, withhold anything so that they can't achieve the same effects or anything like that. So everybody's
cool.
real supportive.
Yeah, it's not about ego.
Yeah, and even when you go to these competitive shows, I've been to shows in Chicago, some in Kentucky and some other places, and when you talk to guys that you see that their work is really spectacular, and you say, hey, I really love how you did this particular effect, how did you do that? They'll usually just be like, oh yeah, well, let me tell you how you did that. Yeah, so it's a really good community.
So it's about getting together and enjoying the hobby, not about just scoring points and trying to outdo each other.
Exactly. And there are a lot of people in the club that don't compete at all. They're not in it for that. They just want to have some nice stuff looking on their shelf.
Now, do you compete?
That's it. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So what's that like?
It's interesting. Sometimes you go to shows and everything goes the way that you think it should. Sometimes you go and you say, wow, I don't understand how this piece got this award and this one.
I guess like any sort of
just like
competition
anything else.
like that.
Exactly.
Because there's a certain amount of subjectivity no matter how fair you try to make it right.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But for the most part, usually, you have a good time hanging out with people, meeting new people. We've gotten to know a lot of people from around Chicago area. We've got a good friend from Pennsylvania and North Carolina that we've gotten to know that are in the community as well from just going to these shows. You just meet a lot of people. And then, it's great because with technology now, you get a lot of feedback. You can be working on something and send somebody pictures and say, hey, what do you think about this? And they'll give you feedback. Hey, I think you need to do more of this. And so it really is, back in the, 70s, it used to be, you're sitting in a place by yourself and you're hoping you're getting it right. And now it really is. You can get a lot of feedback from people and find out a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I've always been fascinated by models. I shared with you before we went on the air, I don't have the patience. At least I'm pretty sure I don't. Now, you said you used to not have the patience.
Right.
So would you say that develops a focus or a skill that you could use outside of modeling? Or
yeah. I definitely think so. Well, of course, I'm a musician professionally. I mentioned to you that I'm a professor of music at ASU-BB. There's a lot of similarities between learning an instrument and learning to do something like this because you spend a lot of time in a room by yourself trying to perfect something. So I guess I'm a glutton for punishment because I have a hobby and profession that requires that.
Okay.
Right. But when I started this, just trying to do some of these things, my modeling experience had been maybe spending an afternoon just sort of gluing together, spray painting some things. And, usually they was going to start falling apart within a month or so. And, when I first got into this and I was talking to everybody and they were talking about how they'll spend, 2, 3, 4 months, sometimes even a year. This particular one that I showed you, this kit that I have, I've been working on this one since July
Okay, so explain, and you know, a lot of people are like, show don't tell, but
Right.
I think radio, you know, it's I think people have brains and imagination.
yeah. Right,
So
right.
let's kind of explain what you're working on.
Okay,
there.
sure. This is a figure. This is produced by a company called Garage Kit US. You can find their website online, and they also have a Facebook page as well that you can look up. The kit is called Dottie Storm, and it's based on some artwork that was a mix-up between Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz, as portrayed by Judy Garland, and also from the character from the Resident Evil film. So it's sort of
It's a
mix
mashup,
of those things,
right.
of those two things.
Okay.
And so it's basically it's a little more grown up, more mature Dorothy with a couple of machine guns, looking like she's going off to war.
But she's still got Toto in the basket.
She still has Toto in the basket. Now you can get an optional if you don't want to go with the little frou-frou dog, which I kind of like the juxtaposition between,
Right.
between
I
the
do
machine
too.
guns
Right,
and
yeah.
that. But if you didn't want to go that route, you can get an optional Rottweiler that's got like a little
harness or something? Okay.
to carry things and everything, so you can
Funny.
do that. It's a very complex kit. It's a wonderful kit, but it's very complex because there's just a lot to it. Every time that I think that I've finished the hardest part, I get to the next thing, and it ends up being the hardest part. So it's been quite a challenge for me.
So, okay, so let's just use this for an example.
Okay.
Let's use this kit, which is a very
Right.
creative mashup of two different intellectual properties, I guess,
Right.
two different genres.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you order the kit
Mm-hmm.
from, what'd you say the company was?
Garage Kit US.
Okay, so how is it that you put your unique stamp on it? Is it the color scheme? I mean, what is it that makes it yours when
Okay.
you're done with it?
Right. Well, there are a few different ways to go about it. Some pieces you want to go for accuracy, you know, and there's always going to be, particularly when you get into competitiveness of the hobby, you get into, do you want to go for screen accurate? Do you want to go by the original artwork it's based on, or do you want to do your own take on it? Things like that. So, you know, with some things like, you know, maybe you can justify it, but with some things, you know, if you bring in an Enterprise from Star Trek and you paint it pink, somebody's somebody's not going to
Somebody's going to get upset. Other
Yeah.
people are going to appreciate the
Yeah,
creativity.
exactly.
So, right.
Right. So the other thing that you'll see a lot of times with these pieces is you'll see modelers will go even a step further and they'll make modifications to the original kit. Like they may change the position that it's standing. They may move the head in a different direction. They may resculpt part of the hair. Maybe they'll add something to it. Maybe
Right.
they'll put different weapons. So there are a lot of people who will go even further and resculpt things and add things. And there's also a thing called kit bashing, where you take 2 or 3 different
And put them
kits
together.
and take different parts from it and put it
See,
together.
I think that's what I personally would be interested
Yeah.
in, you know, kind of playing with it. But I can also see the attraction just for it's like, why do you climb the mountain? Because it's there kind of thing of 3 different people or more taking the exact same kit and saying, okay, who can get
Yeah.
it the most screen accurate?
Yeah.
Right. And then I can see the attraction to that.
Right,
But
right.
me personally, I think I'd like to make something
Yeah,
weird, you know.
exactly.
But anyway, have you, and I don't think this falls into the same category, but I see a lot of art. There's this whole art movement out there right now of people taking stormtrooper helmets and doing creative thing. Have you seen this? Like, I mean,
I've seen some
like
pictures.
patriotic ones,
Yeah.
like ones in lava. So you're not seeing that in any of these shows.
No,
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't think that fell under the same umbrella, but I wasn't sure because they're taking model kits of stormtrooper helmets and
Right.
then doing this real, like you're saying, like painting it pink or just
Yeah.
doing this really crazy artwork with
Yeah.
it. So, but I think that's more of an art movement than a hobby.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
it's a little different area, I think.
All right. So when we were at when I encountered your table
Mm-hmm.
at the River City Comic Expo, trying to remember, I saw cars.
Right.
I
Those
saw
were mine.
I saw like World War II planes and tanks, if I remember right.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I saw several busts, and we have describe this bust again that
Okay.
you brought in.
That's a bust of the character Luna, which is from the movie Mark of the Vampire, 1935. Bela Lugosi is one of the stars of that movie. The actress it is based on, her name was Carol Borland. And what I did with this particular piece...
You said it was Mark of the Vampire?
Mark of the Vampire,
Mark of the
yeah.
Vampire? Okay.
What I did with this particular piece, which I brought one of the magazines. I had an article published about it.
Oh, nice.
What I did was I painted it in grayscale to look like the black and white film. So rather than going for
I like
what she
that.
would,
I like
what
that
she
you
would
did
look
that.
like.
Yeah. So
in
in that, was she supposed to have sort of a, like, what was her color scheme supposed to be? Do you know? Like, is there any way to reference that, or?
There are some people that have done some research, and you could probably find a little bit of stuff here and there. But we know she had brown eyes. They did, make her face very pale because she was supposed to be a vampire.
Nice.
But other than that, the gown was either an off-white or a gray. We don't really know for sure.
Nice. So there's some very good photos in this. I'm assuming you did all the photography in this.
I did. Yeah.
Now this is IPMS USA Journal.
Right.
So is that sort of the Central Arkansas Scale Modelers? Do y'all not belong to IPMS?
We are a chapter of IPMS.
Okay,
yes.
So explain that quickly.
Okay, IPMS is the International Plastic Modelers Society, and this hobby is very big in Europe, believe it or not. And of course, in Japan, there's tons of companies. Bandai's making all of the great Star Wars stuff now.
Right.
Fine Molds before them had the license for the Star Wars kits. The problem is that in America, Revell has the rights for the Star Wars kits, but they're not letting any of the other companies sell over here. So you have to sort of get them online and
now,
here and there.
Can we assume that you're not as happy with Revell's quality or product line as you are some of the others?
For most of them, yeah. They're mostly marketing those for kids.
Okay.
They're snap together pre-painted kits. But getting back to IPMS is this international organization, and it's been around since the 1960s. And actually we have some people who are in our group whose membership number is in the like member number 300 or something like that. They've been a member that long. What's your
member number, Brent?
Like 48,000.
So there's a lot of people that belong to this.
Yeah, so there's quite a few.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so and you don't have to be a member of IPMS to be a member of our club. It's kind of a separate thing. But this is the journal. If you're a member, you get this journal twice a month. But there are lots of other magazines as well. Fine Scale Modeler is one out there. Amazing Figure Modeler focuses strictly on the figures and things like that. Particularly if you're more into the horror, fantasy, superhero, that sort of thing.
Okay.
As opposed to the military side of things, because there is within IPMS in particular, there is a very strong military. Side of people.
I definitely saw that looking through your photo
and
gallery and looking at the models that you had presented at the River City Comic Expo in your booth. I'll tell you the ones that I personally, now I said if I was going to do something, I would mash stuff up and play around with it. But the ones I appreciate looking at the most for me personally, I really enjoy the SciFi ship models.
Right.
The Viper, Colonial Vipers, you brought in the Cylon Raider, the Battlestar Galactica, all the I really like those. Yeah. So how many people in the local chapter do you think are doing those?
About 5 or 6 maybe.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more.
I was really impressed with the Vipers that I saw. The Vipers looked great.
Yeah.
It all did, but I was really drawn to the Vipers.
Yeah.
So, and looking through your photos on the Facebook page, Central Arkansas Scale Modelers. You have a Facebook page and you have a website, which are linked at shaneplays.com. You have photo galleries there. And I think I saw like an old Buck Rogers Starfighter. And I was just like, wow, I just really, I could just look at those things forever. Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to have to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this. I want you to let people know if they're interested, how they can reach you, maybe what's involved in being a member and that sort of thing. So I'm going to throw some love to our sponsor, Game Goblins, and then after that, we are going to cut to a break and come back, and we'll keep talking with Brent Bristow of the Central Arkansas Scale Modelers. So some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located at 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees. Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. For all of your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblin earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. Tell them Shane Plays sent you.
MegaWars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit MegaWars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. MegaWars.net.
The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love, talking with Brent Bristow of Central Arkansas Scale Models, or Scale Modelers, that they do scale models. And one thing that, Brent brought up, we were listening, he was like, hey, because we were talking about the Game Goblins ad. One of the things he wanted to mention is that people that are into doing minis, minifigures for like Dungeons & Dragons or Warhammer or any of that, that's right in the wheelhouse of the Central Arkansas Scale Modeler. So if you enjoy doing that, I've even, like, people bring those. Oh, yeah. And I've seen some in your photo gallery. So, right. And I love using minis in my D&D campaign. I don't have the patience to paint them. 20 years ago, a guy showed me how to paint. I painted a couple. But there's people that are crazy about it.
Oh, yeah.
So they're definitely welcome at the Central Arkansas Scale Modelers.
Right.
So, and they can compete with them.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's competition minifigs. That cracks. It doesn't crack me up in like, that's stupid. It cracks me up as like, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, this hobby, and in the crossover of the different types of hobbies. So if you will, we're already getting close to time. We got about 7 minutes here. I wanted to make sure that if people are interested, you could let them know, how they could join, what to do, are there any dues, how all that stuff works. So,
well, essentially all they need to do is show up to a meeting. Like I said, we meet 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, the second Saturday of every month at Hobbytown over in Shackleford. It's very informal. If you want to just come check it out, you do not have to be a member to attend.
So you'll be meeting next Saturday.
We'll be meeting next Saturday.
At what time?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you got something you're working on, you want to come show it off. We love looking at other people's work. If you want feedback, we're glad to do that. If you don't want feedback, if you just want to bring in and show it off, we're good with that too. The dues are only $15 a year, which is really reasonable. Which is really not that much.
And you're part of a national chapter,
yes,
right? So this is, you have bylaws and all. I mean, this is a well-run organization.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we do have officers. I'm the treasurer of the group right now.
Okay.
And but with that $15, if you are a member, if you're a paid member, you get a 10% discount at Hobbytown. So if you're going to buy $150 worth of kits or paint or paint brushes or glue or whatever supplies you're going to get, then you've already made your money back. If you're going to spend more than that, then you're money ahead.
Okay.
So it works out very well. And then we also sponsor a show once a year. We do it at the convention center downtown. This year we're actually hosting the regional for the IPMS regional. So everybody,
nice.
So
and
everybody,
where will that be again?
That's going to be at the convention center.
At the
downtown.
convention center.
Yeah, we'll be in the ballroom.
And that's going to be when?
That's going to be the last Saturday in September. I think it's the 24th,
I definitely want to
25th,
come
something
to that.
like that.
Now,
Yeah.
you know, I could tell obviously when I was at River City Comic Expo that none of that stuff was for sale.
Right.
But
right.
is that ever? I mean, do people ever bring stuff to sell to any
Sometimes,
of these?
yeah.
Because I was like, I want to make an offer on that Colonial Viper,
Right.
you know. But
Yeah.
what I mean, how does it? I guess what's the etiquette of that? I'd hate to come in and offend somebody, or I mean, is there
Right.
any etiquette behind it? Or
Well, no, not really. It really just kind of depends, you know. For me personally, usually when I'm painting something or building something, it's usually because I want to have it on my shelf.
Right.
You know, as far as that goes, you know, I'm a collector of a lot of different things, but I'd prefer to have something that I worked on that I could be proud of as opposed to just going and buying something, put on there. When it comes to like these, you know, pre-painted things you can get at comic book stores, there's a huge difference
Right.
in quality because they just kind of base coat everything.
Right.
They don't do anything
Yeah.
beyond that.
Well, you can tell that
yeah.
when you're looking at the stuff that's on display
Yeah,
with your
exactly.
club. There's just a whole different level
Exactly.
of detail
Right.
and craft that's
Yeah.
going into it. Yeah.
As far as buying stuff goes, probably, you know, there may be a few guys that they have some stuff that they want to part with, but really probably the best way to do it if you're really interested in that, like let's say you want a really nice Viper, would be to approach somebody and say, hey, can I commission you?
I was
going to
ask that next.
Yeah.
Is that, you know,
Right.
I imagine
And-
that happens every
Yeah,
now
exactly.
and then.
Yeah,
So,
I don't do a lot of commission work. One of our members, Rusty Nail, and yes, that is his real name.
I love it.
A great figure painter. He's won awards all over the country, and he does a lot of commission work. There are a lot of guys who want to have. He paints a lot of Frankenstein for this one guy in Chicago, just different Frankenstein figures, and so people will want his work. And they'll
Right.
just say, hey, I'll give you X amount of money, or how much will you charge me to paint up this figure? And he'll look and see how much time is going to be involved and say, oh, well, I'll do it for, you know, whatever amount
Right.
and everything. So,
Okay.
but the same is true of you know, if you wanted a Starship or whatever you wanted,
Right.
just find somebody that does that really well and see how much they'll charge you. It's probably not going to be cheap. You know, you're probably
Right.
looking at $400 or $500 at least.
Right.
But if you want it done really well, that's the way to go about it.
Well, I guess if you really want that piece, like, you know, I love some of the stuff I saw. Especially, I loved it all, but the sci-fi ships is where it really gets my, you know, I'm just like, wow, you know, just could stare at it all day.
Yeah.
So I noticed you have a Star Trek hoodie on. Or I don't know if it's a hoodie, it's a pullover.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're a modeler and all that. So I'm assuming you're into Star Trek ships. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The J.J. Abrams Enterprise versus the original series Enterprise. Thoughts? Do you like one over the other? The lines?
Well, is there really a competition? I mean, come on.
But is the new design awful? From somebody who really pays attention to this kind of thing.
When they first premiered it, I really didn't like the new ship that much.
I feel like the nacelles
yeah.
are too close together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're
And just
kinda-
the design of the nacelles just looked like they were trying
Well,
to do
they're
something
kinda
from
do like this-
Transformers or something.
Yeah,
I don't
this
know.
was almost kind of like an overpowered hot rod engine
yeah.
in the
yeah,
new
it was,
nacelles.
yeah, it was just really odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, there was just something about it. I don't know. It's you know, it's hard to improve upon a classic, you know.
That was a classic
And,
design.
Yeah, exactly. So I enjoyed the first film. The second movie didn't do much for me, but I did enjoy the first
film.
the
Okay,
first film.
we'll see
Yeah.
where the third one. I was just
Yeah.
curious from a modeling perspective if you're seeing many people model the new.
There are a
Enterprise.
few. There are a few people that do it, but I think most people gravitate toward the original. And if you ever want to just see a real war start, get on
Geek Wars.
Yeah, get on some of the either the Facebook pages or some of the Starship modeling forums, and just ask what color is the original Enterprise.
Oh no!
Yeah, and it happens about once a year, and it just turns into this just chaos because of
Because the
opinions.
color of the model may be different of the color of what it's shown.
Exactly.
Because I've heard anecdotally, I don't know if this is true or not, that the gold shirt that Captain Kirk wore as his command shirt was actually green-ish, but
Right.
the coloring and the camera and the lighting made it look gold.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be red, green, blue, which are the primary colors, but
Right.
then on screen it was red, green,
Right.
gold. So I don't know.
Yeah, and a lot
I
of
would
times,
assume that it was a bluish pale
Yeah.
for the Enterprise model, but I could be wrong. Kind of a
Yeah.
pale blue. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, you know, because plus they're getting all those lights on everything.
Yeah, the lighting really changes stuff more than people realize.
Yeah, it
so.
really does.
All right. Well, if I'm ever bored, I'll keep that in mind. I'll just
Okay.
I'll just do a drive by and ask
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So, all right. About to have to wrap up. What is your dream model that you want to get to?
Oh,
If price and time were of no consequence, what's your dream model?
what's
Brett?
my dream model? Well, I don't know that I have of anything that's out there. You know, of course, there's a 1/350 scale Enterprise, which is huge. I mean, it's probably 3-4 feet long. I'd love to do that, but there are several things that nobody is producing now. I'd love to see something from the TV show Supernatural. Nobody's doing anything.
Well, I was
from
wondering,
that.
and boy, I wish we had time to go into this. Does anybody ever do their own molds? I mean, it seems
Oh
like
yeah,
okay.
This is a garage kit, the Dottie Storm figure that I was talking about, and so is that. That's produced by somebody in their home out of their garage.
Okay.
They're making limited versions of these and send them out. That's a whole different aspect of modeling.
Okay. Well, let's. Unfortunately, I gotta wrap this segment. Thanks so much for your time.
Sure. Thanks for
Radio
having me.
goes so quick. I know it just seems like we just
Right.
started talking, but I definitely look forward to coming to one of your future exhibitions where you're showing stuff. And feel free to keep me updated on events that you have,
Okay,
and I'll
will
try
do.
to promote them on
Will
the
do.
show. For the tweet of the week from John Rogers, who's done some TV work and also writes the D&D comic book. He said, when a business dinner ends with everybody talking about their D&D campaigns, you know you're probably with the right people. Next week, Stephen Chenault of Castles and Crusades and Troll Games will be rejoining us to talk about the new 5th edition SRD and OGL, which is a big deal in the role-playing game D&D world. And then also, they've got a Kickstarter going on right now. I forgot to mention earlier. It's for Familiars and 5th edition Familiars and Companions. So go check that out. And don't forget, we can always be found on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, kryptonradio.com. And this show will go out within the next couple of days as a podcast, which you can find on the blog at shaneplays.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and other fine directories. Thanks so much for joining me for another weekly journey into the things we love on Shane Plays Radio.